And welcome back to Yahoo Finance. We're watching markets for you right now, and to help us make heads or tails of where you might want to go forward is Aadil Zaman. He is the Wall Street Alliance Group partner who's joining us right now with a focus on wealth preservation strategies for all kinds of people. But most of your clients, I think, tend to be doctors. But money's money, whether you're a doctor or whether you're a trucker. So what kind of advice do you have in this kind of environment to preserve your wealth?
Well, great to be with you, Adam. And what we are seeing is that we do deal with a lot of physicians, and like many small businesses in America, physician practices as well have seen a decline in their revenues. Physicians that are doing elective work, such as surgeons, have seen a decline in their patient volumes. And on top of that, PPE costs have skyrocketed. I was talking to a client of ours who's a gastroenterologist in Florida, and what he was telling me that it's gotten so bad now that some of his staff members have started contracting the virus, which is adding to the financial pressure. So what he's doing is that he's simply just going to shut down one of the practices and go into partial retirement. So we are focusing, like you said, on wealth preservation strategies, such as allocating about 30% of their assets into fixed income, which acts as a buffer in case of a market decline, or putting about 3 to 5% of the portfolio in gold, which acts as a hedge in case of a market decline.
Aadil, it's Julia LaRoche, and I want to just unpack something that you just mentioned at the top of the conversation about your physician clients, even one opting to go into early retirement. Walk us through what you're hearing from your clients. What do you think is needed? Do they need some sort of backstop here, maybe another kind of PPP round or something to kind of keep their offices afloat and running during this pandemic?
Great question, Julia. So what is very important is to prevent these physician practices from shutting down, because one physician on average supports about 17 jobs. And in the United States, about 29% of the physicians are first-generation immigrants, many of whom are our clients because of the cultural affinity we share with them. Now, invariably, what ends up happening is that first-generation immigrant physician ends up being the only specialist in a particular rural town where an American-born physician is not willing to go. And if that practice, for some concern, liability or revenue shuts down, it has a detrimental impact on that whole community because it becomes very difficult to replace that doctor. So it's very important, to your point, that in the second relief package, financial support and liability protection is provided to the physicians to prevent the practices from shutting down. But in the meantime, we are actively focused on asset protection and wealth preservation strategies for them.
Aadil, the physicians that you work with, how much of their businesses actually bounce back? In many markets, they have now been able to reopen, obviously with a lot of precautions in place. So there's costs added to that too. But what are you hearing in terms of how much of their patient load has bounced back?
Akiko, it's sectors, it's region specific. So the clients that we are talking to in Florida, they're still facing a decline. They bounce back a little bit, but they're still nowhere close to where it used to be. Physician practices that are in New York have almost gotten back to where they were. But another issue that these practices are really facing is the liability protection. And one of my clients who's an infectious disease doctor in California, his story is very similar to that of many of our other clients. He's 62 years old. He's got 2 young children at home. He's working 14, 15 hours a day, treating COVID-19 patients. And what these type of physicians are coming to us and are saying is that I'm treating a virus for which the medical understanding is literally changing on a daily basis. And right now, I'm considered to be a hero. But 6 months down the road, I could be considered to be a villain, where I could be faced with lawsuits for wrongful treatment from patients. And if that were to happen, are my own personal assets protected for my family? And what we are proactively doing for them, Akiko, is working with them on asset protection strategies.